Good evening and Happy New Year to you, our viewers. Welcome to the News Roundup for today, Monday, January 9, 2023. I am Abigail Smythe. Among the stories in this evening's newscast, the new subvariants of the Omicron strain of COVID-19 circulating in the Caribbean region. JCF saves 300 lives from contract killings yearly. Ex-member of the JDF charged in connection with several major crimes. Government to partner with churches to launch national campaign in schools aimed at tackling gun culture. Former Education Minister and former Caribbean Maritime University President to return to court on April 3. In business, International Monetary Fund urges central banks not to let up on its inflation targets despite looming economic slowdown this year. In the region, Guyana becomes first CARICOM country to impose new entry requirements for travelers coming from China. Further overseas, Britain's health system faces inferno of pressures. And in sports, Manchester City defeat Chelsea for the second time in 4 days. Now for the news in detail. The Caribbean Public Health Agency, CARPHA, is encouraging ministries to maintain COVID-19 surveillance. The agency is also reminding the public to keep taking precautionary measures. Executive Director for the Caribbean Public Health Agency, Dr. Joyce St. John, says with economic activity and schools resuming post-Christmas, people need to be vigilant and protect themselves from the diseases on the rise. Dr. St. John also highlights the fact that the flu season has already begun in northern countries and have resulted in an increase in hospital numbers. She says new subvariants of the Omicron strain of COVID-19 have been circulating in the Caribbean region since last year. CARPHA recommends hand washing, social distancing, mask wearing in crowded spaces, getting vaccinated, and getting tested when experiencing symptoms. CARPHA is reminding Caribbean citizens that World Health Organization approved vaccinations for COVID-19 and influenza have been proven effective at preventing severe disease. And amid a surge in a new variant of COVID-19 in China and the United States, as well as other parts of the globe, Jamaica's Ministry of Health is again urging persons who are not yet vaccinated to do so. Director of Family Health Services in the Ministry of Health and Wellness, Dr. Melody Ennis, says there has been a fall-off in the rate of vaccination in the Americas and Jamaica has not been spared. She says the trend is a cause for concern. The Health Ministry reported that Jamaica recorded 36 new cases of COVID-19 from December 24 to January 3, with one death recorded last month. The positivity rate was 4.5%. Dr. Ennis is again urging parents to get their children vaccinated against the new variant. A mother and her son perished in a motor vehicle crash on the Mandela Highway this morning. They have been identified as 40-year-old Tanisha Peart and her son Jelani Wright. Reports are that sometime after 2 o'clock, the two were in a white BMW driven by Miss Peart when it overturned in the vicinity of the entrance to the toll. Both occupants sustained injuries and later died. The ferry police are investigating. According to Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of the crime portfolio, DCP Fitz Bailey, some 300 lives have been saved annually in Jamaica owing to the interception of contract killers by the Jamaica Constabulary Force before they carry out the act. DCP Bailey says the interception of contract killers in these cases was based on intelligence and a quick threat-to-life response by the police. He says between 2017 and October 2022, the police also nabbed over 60 persons who were contracted to carry out hits on people in the country. In the latest contract killing case in relation to British man Sean Patterson on Monday, January 2, at a villa in St. James, the police have taken a man into custody. The police say Patterson was involved in illegal activities overseas. DCP Bailey says the JCF and United Kingdom Police will continue working together on the investigation. In the meantime, the Deputy Commissioner says both rich and poor Jamaicans are hiring contract killers. He notes that in one instance, a woman was offering someone $15,000 to kill another female who she claimed was trying to take her boyfriend away from her. DCP Bailey says the police are going up against contract killers who are operating in an organized network. Robert Chin, the man charged in relation to the January 2 cocaine seizure at the Norman Manley International Airport in Kingston, has been offered bail. Chin was offered bail in the sum of $700,000 when he appeared in court on Friday. His attorney, King's Counsel Peter Champagny, says his client was granted bail with stringent conditions. According to reports, about 7 o'clock on the morning of January 2, Chin was attempting to board a flight to the United States when anomalies were discovered on a suitcase assigned to him. His luggage was searched and cocaine with an estimated street value of $600,000 or some 90 million Jamaican dollars was found. The 56-year-old was arrested at 6:30 p.m. on that same day. Chin has been charged with possession of cocaine, dealing in cocaine, attempting to export cocaine, and conspiracy to export cocaine. And the Portland police seized approximately 800 pounds of ganja during an operation on Long Road, Manchonil on Saturday. Investigators say 13 individuals were taken into custody. 2 minors are believed to have been among those detained. According to reports, sometime after 9 p.m., the Portland police were conducting a snap raid in Manchonil when a truck with farm produce was stopped on Long Road. A search of the truck revealed 8 parcels of compressed vegetable matter believed to be ganja. It is understood that it weighed about 800 pounds. An ex-member of the Jamaica Defense Force has been charged in connection with several major crimes, including illegal possession of firearm. He has been identified as 24-year-old Leon Fisher of Scotts Hall, St. Mary. Investigators say on January 5, a man was standing at his gate in Scotts Hall when he was approached by the ex-soldier. Fisher allegedly brandished a firearm and pointed it at the complainant. He is said to have ejected 3 rounds from the weapon and then hit the complainant, resulting in injuries to his face. A statement was later made to the police. The police visited the scene and recovered 3 live rounds and apprehended Fisher shortly after. A search was carried out, but the firearm was not found. While in custody, Fisher provided information which assisted in locating the firearm. Investigators say Fisher was remanded and faces at least 4 firearm-related offenses. Fisher is also deemed a suspect in a case of robbery with aggravation committed last May at a bar in Broadgate, St. Mary. 2 men were shot, one fatally, on Friday at Ramsbury District, Clarendon. 23-year-old Nicardo Reed, otherwise called Bogo, a laborer of the community, was killed in the attack. His wounded companion is also from the area. The police report that approximately 2:15 in the afternoon, Mr. Reed and the other man were in a pasture tending to a herd of cows when they were attacked by 3 armed men. The gunmen chased the 2 men and shot at them repeatedly before running away. Mr. Reed died on the spot. In the meantime, the Manchester police are investigating the motive behind a shooting Saturday night in which a woman was attacked by gunmen. It's reported that the woman was driving her car in Daviton district in the parish around 8 o'clock when it was shot up by unknown assailants. The woman escaped injury and the police are investigating. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has revealed that the government will partner with churches to launch a national campaign in schools aimed at tackling the island's gun culture. This comes after a 15-year-old was arrested under the new Firearms Act, which was passed in November of last year. The Prime Minister states that the campaign in schools is geared towards raising awareness about the consequences of participating in violent crimes and use of illegal weapons. Over 80 persons have so far been arrested for possession of illegal guns under the new Firearms Act. Former Education Minister Will Reid and former Caribbean Maritime University President Fritz Pinnock, along with their three co-accused, are to return to court on April 3, pending the outcome of a judicial review. The new mentioned date was set this morning when the matter was called up in the Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Court. Reid, Pinnock, Reid's wife Sharon, their daughter Sharelle, and Jamaica Labour Party councillor for the Brownstown Division, Kim Brown Lawrence, all appeared in court. The date was agreed on by attorneys representing the Financial Investigations Division, FID, and the five accused, after Senior Parish Judge Jacqueline Wilcott noted that it was better to have them return after the judicial review. The hearing for that review is set for February 6 and 7. The Supreme Court is to review a court ruling that Reid and his co-accused have a case to answer over their alleged corruption actions. Chief Parish Judge Chester Crooks had ruled last February that the accused who are implicated in a multi-million-dollar fraud case had a case to answer. The judge's ruling was in response to a preliminary objection raised by Reid and Pinnock on the basis that the charges against them should be nullified, as the FID, which leveled the charges, had no authority in law to arrest or charge them. Reid and Pinnock took issue with the decision after Crooks declared that he was recusing himself from the trial because of a perceived conflict of interest and sought a judicial review. It was later revealed that the conflict was in relation to the judge's attendance at Monroe College while Reid was head boy. Justice Wilcott said that an April date will give all parties involved sufficient time to prepare after the outcome of the judicial review. The five have been charged with a range of offenses, including breaches of the Corruption Prevention Act, conspiracy to defraud, misconduct in a public office at common law, and breaches of the Proceeds of Crime Act. Investigators have alleged that nearly $50 million of public funds were diverted to the personal use of Reid and Pinnock through several schemes, including one that mirrors the Career Advancement Program Youth Employment Solutions. In business news, the International Monetary Fund, IMF, is urging central banks not to let up on its inflation targets despite predicting a significant economic slowdown this year. This as the IMF expects a third of the world to fall into recession in 2023. The IMF says central banks should not be fearful of the economic slowdown being experienced. Inflation and surging global prices were some of the challenges faced by the world's economies for most of 2022. This is set to continue into 2023. Jamaica, similarly, has been struggling with increases in the cost of food and fuel as inflation remains elevated. While the Bank of Jamaica has been aggressively targeting inflation through repeated increases in interest rates, Governor Richard Biles has made it clear that it will take further action if it becomes necessary. The IMF believes this is the correct course of action. However, the fund recognizes that 2023 will be a challenging economic year for many countries. In the region, Guyana has become the first CARICOM country to impose new entry requirements for travelers coming from China, where there has been an upsurge in the number of COVID-19 cases. Effective January 8, all passengers 2 years and older originating from the People's Republic of China will be required to get a COVID-19 test no more than 2 days before their departure from the People's Republic of China, Hong Kong, or Macau, and show a bona fide negative test result to their airline or carrier upon departure. It said variants of the virus continue to emerge worldwide, and in light of the present surge in COVID-19 cases in certain parts of the world, and to decrease the chance for entry of a novel variant of concern, the Ministry of Health will be implementing a requirement for a negative COVID-19 test. On the international scene, British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak gathered government ministers, medics, and health service managers on Saturday for talks aimed at fixing a healthcare crisis that has seen thousands of patients stranded outside overflowing hospitals. The government said it was bringing together the best minds from the health and care sectors to help share knowledge and practical solutions. Britain's health system faces an inferno of pressures, including rising demand for care after pandemic restrictions were eased, a surge in flu and other winter viruses after 2 lockdown years, and staff shortages from pandemic burnout and a post-Brexit drought of European workers in the UK. Thousands of hospital beds are occupied by people who are fit to be discharged but have nowhere to go because of a dearth of places for long-term care. Official figures show that last week, only a third of patients ready to be released from a hospital in England actually left. That has led to ambulances stuck outside hospitals with patients who cannot be admitted, and in turn, people with health emergencies waiting hours for ambulances to arrive. Health leaders say the delays have likely led to hundreds of deaths. Additionally, a cost of living crisis fueled by soaring food and energy bills has left some health workers struggling to make ends meet. Nurses and ambulance crews have staged walkouts, part of the country's biggest wave of strikes in decades. And in sports, Very United secured their 6th draw in the Jamaica Premier League following a 0-0 stalemate against the newcomers, Chapelton Maroons, on Sunday at the Wembley Centre of Excellence. In other early games, Falkland secured their 2nd point of the campaign following a 2-2 draw with Malines United. Dunby Holden scored 2 second-half goals to beat Montego Bay United 2-0, while Tivoli Gardens and Portmore United played to a 0-0 draw. And on the international scene of football, Manchester City defeated Chelsea for the 2nd time in 4 days with a 4-0 win in the 3rd round of the FA Cup. As for Chelsea, it is the first time this century that the Blues find themselves not among the clubs in the 4th round. Chelsea have now lost 6 of their last 9 matches in all competitions and have not tasted victory away from home since October. And that's it for your news roundup for today. I am Abigail Smythe. See you next time.